Hey guys, welcome to your review for your Module 4 CPM 2 test. So let's just jump right in. We first have vocabulary and definitions. It says blank means per 100. That is percent. So percent means per 100. Now on 2, you got two different options for the first one, I think it is. The place value blank is to the right of the decimal point. You can either put in your tenths. I'm going to not circle tenths. Okay, tenths would work. What else is to the right of your decimal place is your hundredths place. So I don't know why they have two different options that both work. If it means just directly to the right of your decimal, that is your tenths place, but technically hundredths is to the right of the decimal too. And so then while the blank is to the left of the decimal, that is your tens place. Okay, so the only one we're not using there is this one. Okay, the word blank translates to equal, that is. And the word per translates to division. Okay, so that's all your vocab for this one. So, I don't know why it goes from 4 to 6, but number 6 here says to write the decimal as a fraction or mixed number and then simplify. So, with 0.15, because this is in the hundredths place, right? This is the tenths place. But that 5, the very last digit, let's go this way, is in the, let's actually go up. This is in the hundredths place. To change this to a fraction, I'm going to do 15 over 100. So if you had something in the thousandths place, you would want to put it over 1,000. If you only have something in the tens place, you're only going over 10. So whatever place value it is, that's what you need on the bottom as well. So even if it didn't tell me right here in my directions to simplify, you always have to simplify. So what can we divide into both 15 and 100? Hopefully you said 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 20 divided by 5 is, yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's see. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So then look at those two numbers, 3 and 20. Well, 3's prime number, so you can't divide that anymore. This again, going straight from 15 over 100 to 3 over 25, that's calculator work. And so if you don't know how to put that in your calculator, let me know, and I can show you how to do that. Number 7 says round the following decimal to the nearest tenth. So you need to memorize your place values. Tenth means 1 decimal place. So the 8 is in that tenths place. So determine whether that 8 stays the same or goes up. We need to look at that number behind it. Because we have a 5 or more makes that number go up. So that's going to round to a 0.9. Number 8, add or subtract. This is straight calculator work. Put this in your calculator. You need parentheses and everything. We have 34.56 minus a negative 2.72. If you put it in your calculator, minus the negative with the parentheses, you should get 37.28. Okay, and that is positive. Same thing on B. Put in your negatives and everything. So we have negative 24.5 minus 2.6 if you use parentheses and everything just the way it looks, we get negative 26.85. Okay, we got calculators now. No reason to do that by hand. Plus, it helps if you guys aren't really good at your integer rules. Number 9, we need to simplify by combining like terms. So the first term we have here is a negative 8.25z. What else is your like term with it? It's this other one right here with that z. Please remember to keep the sign that's in front of it. So it's a negative 9.25z. So same thing in your calculator. Negative 8.25 minus 9.25. We get a negative 17.5. Keep that z on there. And then combine your numbers without the variables. We have 5.03 minus, again, keep that front, that sign in front of it, minus 52.62. So put it in your calculator. And we get a negative 47.59. And I should have asked before I boxed, but why can't I combine that any further? Well, one right here has a z, this one doesn't have a z, so you can't combine those two together. Number 10, write the following as a decimal. You are simply dividing. So in your calculator here, we're doing 5 divided by 4, and we get 1.25. Now on B, you have two different options. What I normally tell people to do here is to change this to an improper fraction first. So 5 1/2 means we're doing 5 times 2 to get 10 plus the 1. So we get 11 and keep that all over 2. And then we can now divide in our calculators. So 11 divided by 2 is going to get me 5.5. Now the other way you could have done that is, if you noticed, you have a whole number 5, so that's 5 right here as well, and then 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5, so that's why it's 5.5. Okay, so either way. Okay, 11, we need to insert the less than, greater than, or equal to form a true statement. Now, this one, a lot of times, you guys will put an equal sign right there. But please remember, these are not equal. When you have that bar over that 0.33, if I add a third decimal, I'll just go ahead and do it right here. That will become a 0.333. 3, right? Because that 3 just keeps repeating. If we wanted 7 more decimals, these would all be 3. Okay, but I only need 1 more. On this one, if I add another decimal, I can't just add a 3 because I don't have that line over it. We're going to have a 0. So now, which of these two numbers are bigger than the other? 3 is definitely bigger than 0. So your Pac-Man is going to eat the bigger number. So we got a greater than symbol here. On B, when you have a fraction, convert that to a decimal first. So 1 divided by 8 gets me a 0.125, because that's the same as this one here. Now we'll have an equal sign in the middle. Okay, next page. Evaluate the expression for P equals 1.3 and U equals 0.6. So straight substitution. I've got negative 2 times, what's my P? My P is 1.3. Minus my U, what is my U? 0.6. This is again calculator work. Just put this in your calculator exactly the way it looks. -2 times 1.3 minus 0.6, and you should get -3.2. Okay, so once you put everything in your equation, you substitute everything in, then it's calculator work from there. 13, solve the following equation. So, first thing we need to do, because I see parentheses, I need to distribute. So 2 times 7x gives me 14x. 2 times a -1.6 gives me -3.2. Bring everything else down, so it equals 55x minus 3.2. So here we want to get the variable on one side, your constant, your number on the other side. Now, I like to get the variable on the left, the constant on the right, but it does not matter what you do. If I'm going with variable on the left, though, I need to move this 55x to the other side. So the opposite of a positive 55x is a negative 55x. So I'll subtract that from both sides. Cancels on the right, so 14 minus 55 gives me negative 41x. Bring down everything else that we have not used. So now I have my variable all alone on the left, so now I need to get my constant to the right. So I need to move this negative 3.2 to the other side. So the opposite of subtracting 3.2 is to add it. So it cancels out on the left side like we want. I'm going to bring this over here. We get negative 41x equals, same thing sort of happens here, right? This cancels out, but I need some number over here, and so negative 3.2 plus 3.2 is 0. Now, a lot of times when you guys get to something like this, you guys will just stop, keep solving, you can keep going. How do you get x by itself? We divide by negative 41, and 0 divided by any number is 0, so my answer here is 0. Okay, 0 is a number, and so that is my solution to this equation. 14, write the ratio as a ratio of whole numbers using fractional notation. Write the fraction in simplest form. Again, even if it doesn't tell you simplest form, that's a give me by now. So I need 2.5 to 500. So that means I have 2.5 over 500. It says I need to write this with whole numbers. So the only fraction I have is that 2.5 to make it into a whole number. Move it one time to the right. If I move the top one to the right, I need to move the bottom one also one time to the right, and we'll put a placeholder down there. So now I have 25 over 5,000, and now reduce. I can divide both of those by 25. So 25 divided by 25 is 1. And 5,000 divided by 25 is 200. Okay, again, come and see me because we can go straight from this 2.5 to 500 to this 1 over 200 in your calculator. Okay, that's calculator work, really and truly. It's not hard to do it by hand, but you don't have to if you know how to do it in your calculator. 15, for the given proportion, find the unknown number. So cross multiply, and I again always like to cross multiply with that variable there. So z times 15 gives me 15z equals 5 times 6 is 30 Please remember with these proportions, a lot of times you guys will write this as a fraction and do 15z over 30. When you cross multiply, they need to go side by side with an equal sign in the middle. So now that I have 15z equals 30, to get z by itself, simply divide both sides by 15, and we will get z equals 2. That's our answer. 16, write the following percent as a decimal. So when you're writing percents as a decimal, you can do this one of two ways. You can either divide by 100 or move that decimal 2 places to the right. No, to the left. Okay, follow my drawing, not my words. So 2 places to the left. So we are either doing 0.9 divided by 100 to get 0.009. Okay, or we're taking this decimal and going 2 places. Same thing here with 270%. We are either doing 270 divided by 100 to get 2.7, or take your decimal, and if you don't see that decimal, it's at the very end of that number, right? So it's 270 point, and then move it 2 places to the left. So now let's go opposite. Now I want to write these decimals as a percent. So if I'm going opposite, I need to do the opposite thing. So instead of dividing by 100, we can either multiply by 100 or move your decimal 2 units to the right. So I'm either doing 0.5 times 100 to get 50%, or I'm moving that decimal 2 places over and adding in that 0. 3, same thing. We're either doing 3 times 100 to get 300%, or that decimal's at the very end. If you don't see it, it's at the end, and move it 2 places and add in your 2 zeros. 18, we have 2 different things we're looking for. It says write the fraction as a decimal, then as a percent. Well, a decimal's easy. Decimal, we are just doing the top divided by the bottom. So 90 divided by 100 gives me 0.9. Okay, so that's my first answer. And then we're doing this right here. We're either multiplying by 100 or moving that 2 times to the right. So that becomes 90%. So 0.9, 2 times over, add in that 0. And because percent means per 100, because you have a 100 on the bottom, that's why the percent is just the number on the top there. Okay, on B, same thing. We're going to do the top, 84, divided by the bottom, 64. And that's going to give us an ugly answer, 1.3125. Okay, so that's my decimal. And now, to get my percent, take that number and move it 2 times to the right. So my percent here is 131.25%. All right, 19 and 20 we need to convert. Now, on this review, it doesn't give you your conversion. We're going to give you all of these conversions on your test. We want to convert 12 inches to feet. Now, hopefully this conversion you know, but we're still going to give it to you. We have 12 inches equals 1 foot. So because my conversion is technically my answer, I'm going to change this problem here. And let's change this to 36. I want to change 36 inches and figure out how many feet that is. So start with what you're given. We're given 36 inches. If you want to make that into a fraction, we'll put that over 1. And then times that by your conversion here. So, because I already have inches on the top, that means I want my unit of inches to be on the bottom. So, we have 12 inches on the bottom. That leaves my 1 foot on the top. So, my inches cancel. That's the whole point of this, is to get your units to cancel and now multiply straight across. We've got 36 times 1 foot. So 36 feet over 1 times 12. So we get 12 down here. And so this is just simply a division problem. 36 divided by 12 gives me 3. So my answer here is 3 feet, since I changed that problem to 36 inches. Okay, B. Same thing, convert 48 inches into yards. So that means there's 36 inches in 1 yard. Okay, and again, we're going to give you these conversions here, so you don't need to memorize any of these. So 36 inches equals 1 yard. So start with the unit that they gave you. We've got 48 inches, and if you want to make that into a fraction, that's over 1. And then use your unit conversion here. Because I have inches on top again, that means I want inches on the bottom. So we've got 36 inches on the bottom, which leaves me my 1 yard on the top. My inches cancel, that's the whole point, so multiply straight across. 48 times 1 yard gives me 48 yards. And 1 times 36 gives me 36 on the bottom. So we've got a division problem. So 48 divided by 36, I want to say is ugly. Okay. You get 1.3s repeating. So that means my answer is 1.3 with that line over it, yards. Now, 20 is the same thing. You can use either dimensional analysis or your metric unit system where you're just moving the decimal. We're going to give you the conversions again. So I'm wanting to convert 100 centimeters to meters. Yeah, so this is another bad one again. Your unit conversion is 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. So again, because that's literally what the problem is, let's change our problem. So instead of that being 100 centimeters, let's just make this, we're going to make this 440 centimeters. So you can use your unit conversion. And I'm going to end up erasing this because I don't like these as much with this one, but we get 440 centimeters, make that over 1 if you'd like to, times, because I have centimeters on, on top, we want centimeters on bottom. So I have 100 centimeters down here, which means 1 meter on the top. So my centimeters cancel. And so 440 times 1 meter is 440 meters. 1 times 100 is 100. And so when you divide, you get 4.4. Now, again, these conversions here we're going to give you. So if you like dimensional analysis, this is a perfect way to do it. But if you kind of remember your acronym for your metric system, it's that King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. I am starting right here in centimeters, and I want to go to meters, which is my unit here. Okay, remember, if you don't have a prefix on your meter, liter, or grams, okay, that's your unit. So how many times you have to move your decimal to get to your unit? We are moving it 1, 2, and I'm not just moving it 2, but I'm also moving it 2 units to the left. So take your 440, your decimal's in the back, and move it 1, 2 units to the left, and you get 4.4 as well. Okay, so let's try again with kilometers. If you want to use dimensional analysis, 1 kilometer is going to equal 1,000 meters. Okay, and so we'll give you that unit. But if you use your acronym for your metric system, we have King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. I have 1.4 kilometers, so I'm starting in my kilo. And because I want to go to meters, which is my unit, right? Again, no prefix. How many times are you moving it from the K to the U? We're moving it 1, 2, 3, and we're moving it 3 times to the right. So take your 4.1 and move it 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So 4.1 kilometers is 4,100 meters. Okay, then 21, what percent of 80 is 20? So I'm going to show you, let me see actually. Okay, we've got 3 like this. I'm going to show you this one here by an equation. Yeah, I'll do it both ways. Okay, on 21, if we solve this first, by an equation, it wants to know what percent. Let me get rid of that equation. Makes it a little bit harder. Okay. What percent is your x of is your times 80 comes down is your equal sign, and then 20 comes down. So clean that up a little bit. X times 80 is the same as 80x. So then to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 80. So I get x equals 2.5. Now, because this one wants to know what percent, Okay, what percent? I need to change this decimal to a percent. You change your decimal to a percent by either multiplying by 100 or moving it 2 times to the right. So I'm going to move that 2 times over. And so then this equals here 25%. Now if we write this as a proportion, we'll use our is over of equals our percent over 100. So my is 20. My of is 80. And then it wants to know what percent, so I've got x over my 100. So cross multiply. We got 80 times x and 20 times 100. And then divide by 80. And hopefully 2,000 divided by 80 gives me 25. Okay, and again, because it's wanting to know what percent, make sure you put that percent sign back on there, but there's no other conversions. You don't have to move that decimal in any way. Okay, so those are your 2 different ways to solve that same problem, whether you like the equation method or the proportion method. Okay, on the next page, I'm only going to do the proportion method right here. So what number of 15% is 120? So we have, I'll write it over here, is over of equals percent over 100. So fill in what we've got. We have of 120. I have my 15%, so it's going to go 15 over 100. So then I don't know my is, so that's my x. So cross multiply. Get that x first. So we've got 100x equals 15 times 120 gives me 1,800. Then divide both sides by 100. And I've got x equals 18. Okay, 23. 20 is 34% of what number? So I know my 34%. So we've got 34 over 100. I don't know my of. It's of what number? So that means my x is down here, and so that 20 is my is. So cross multiply. 34 times x, and then 200 times 100, or sorry, 20 times 100 gives me 2,000. So then divide. Both sides by 34. Okay, this one we get a really ugly decimal. Let me look at that last page. Nothing here ever tells me how to round this. If it doesn't tell you how to round, it doesn't matter how you round. So I'm going to go 58.8. I'll just go to the nearest tenth there. Okay, but if you write more decimals on that, since it doesn't tell you how to round, any way you round that decimal, or if you want to write them all, that will be considered correct. 24, find the area and perimeter of the following. Your area formula is length times width. So your length is technically that 3.6. Your width is the 2. If you get those backwards, it really doesn't matter because 3.6 times 2 or 2 times 3.6 is going to give you a 7.2. Now, you need some units on here. So because I'm finding area, it's not just feet, but it is feet squared. Anytime you find area, you need to square your units. And so I did feet squared. You can also do square feet as well. Okay, but you got to make sure you have that squared on there. And then perimeter. Perimeter, you need to add all sides. So I've got 2 plus 3.6. Now, even though those are the only 2 numbers I'm given, I need to add up all 4 sides. So we need to add up a plus 2 from this side and a plus 3.6 for that top. So add all of those up. And we will get a perimeter of 11.2. Don't forget your units again. So 11.2 feet. All right, 25. Tom wants to buy soda for his football watch party. Store A sells 24 cans of soda for $3.84. Store B sells 32 cans for $4.80. Find the unit price of each and determine which store has the best value for your money. Okay, so Store A, you can get 24 cans for $3.84. When you do this, you want to do this per can. So that means I'm doing 384 divided by 24. So put that in your calculator. And again, it doesn't tell us how to round. So let's go to 2 decimal places. And actually this one comes to 2 decimal places. We're going to get 0.6. So you're paying 16 cents what per can. So then store B, do the same thing. We want money on top over my amount of cans. So $4.80 divided by 32. So put that in your calculator. And we get 0.15, so we're paying 15 cents per can. Okay, so that's the first part of this question. It wants us to find the unit price of each. So those are my unit prices for each store. So then determine which store has the best value for your money. It's not really that big of a difference, but would you rather pay $16 for a can, or 16 cents for a can, or 15 cents for a can? I'm going to save that penny and go to store B. All right, and then your last page is just nothing but rounding. So, rounding practice number 1, round to the following to the nearest tenth. Tenth means 1 decimal. So this first 0 is in my tens place. We need to look at the one behind it to determine if that 0 stays the same or goes up. Because it's a 0, it's going to stay the same. So you can either say 124.0. A lot of times though, when you have that 0.0 behind it, we just say that that's a 124. Okay, and that's a little bit better of an answer, but they're both perfectly acceptable. B is kind of the same thing, but opposite. You got 23.99999. So this first 9 is in the tenths place. Look at the one behind it. That 9 makes the other 9 go up. But because that 9 has nowhere to go, it needs to make that whole number go up. So this is either 24.0, or again, better is just 24. Both perfectly acceptable. Now, these are a little bit more traditional rounding. 24.12005. That 1 is in the tenths place. So look at the number behind it, because that 2, it's 5 or greater makes it round up, 4 or less makes it stay the same. So that 2 makes that 1 stay the same. So this is 24.1. Okay, no other option on that one. On D, this 9 is in the tenths place, so look at the one behind it. That 0 makes that 9 stay. So this is negative 8.9. On E, that 9's in the tenths place. Look at the 0 behind it. That 0 makes the 9 stay. So this is 67.9. And then on F, this 5 is in the tenths place. That 4 makes that 5 stay. So 5.5. Okay, and then this last 3 says round to the nearest cent. Nearest cent simply means the hundredths place. Hundredths place is 2 decimals. So we got $49.99. So this second 9 is in the hundredths place. Look at the 9 behind it. That makes this 9 go up. That 9 has nowhere to go, which makes this 9 go up. It has nowhere to go. So this rounds to a perfect $46. And so, again, you can either say 46.00, since we're talking about money, right? That's what's going to show up on like a cash register. But that is the same as just $46 with no decimal behind it. On B, this 8 is in the hundredths place. So look at the one behind it. That 4 makes that 8 stay. So this is simply 98 cents. And then C is an interesting one. The second 0 behind the decimal is in your hundredths place. This 8 behind it makes that 0 go up. So this is going to round to 1 penny. You've got 0.01. All right, that's all I've got for this review. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and some of those ones that you can do directly in your calculator. Let me know if you guys have any questions. But as always, pause this video and rewind it as you need to.